Good morning. Good Monday morning to all of you, and thank you for joining us today for our monthly meeting. I am Brenda DeVere, one of the co-chairs for the Ohio Grandparent Kinship Care Coalition. We like to encourage uh, caregivers to put their name and email in the chat box to be eligible to win a $50 gift card. You can do that now, please. Um, Please join us for our next event, which is September 9th. It is the Kinship Care Symposium. To register for this event, you can go to the Kinship Care Coalition website, which is www.ohiograndparentkinship.org. Certificates of attendance will be provided to anyone who would like to have one. Please submit your name to Barbara Turpin if you would like a certificate, and you can do that in the chat. At this time, I am pleased to introduce our guest speaker, who is going to talk about consumer scams. Scammers use a variety of tactics to make their offers seem legitimate. Today, Ryan Lippe, who is a consumer educator for the Ohio Attorney General's Dave Yost Consumer Protection Services section, will provide you with an overview of what Ohioans across the state can do about their rights and how to avoid scams. He also prepares educational materials to advance the Consumer Protection Section's mission of protecting Ohioans from unfair and deceptive business practices and consumer fraud. Please welcome Ryan Lippe.
Great, thank you so much. Can everybody see my screen and hear my voice?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. I'm going to spend about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how many questions and answers we get. But I'm really pleased to join you. You have an important function in our culture, taking care of the youth and making sure that there aren't any gaps and doing a lot of work that is a blessing to our society. So I just want to thank everybody for the work they do statewide for the youth of Ohio and for your families. My name is Ryan Lippe, and I'm a consumer educator with the Ohio Attorney General's office. And our office is pretty large. We've got 30 sections and about 1,500 employees. And I am one of the ones. We have 3 people that go out and give presentations throughout the state of Ohio on topics like scams and cybersecurity and identity theft and knowing your consumer rights. So I get to do that throughout the year, travel all around Ohio, and also do my fair share of virtual presentations like I'm doing today that I can do in the office. So the Ohio Attorney General's office provides legal representation for state agencies and statewide public officials, county prosecutors. We are not the public's individual attorney. We can't give any legal advice to individuals. And when we pursue a case, for instance, in our consumer protection section, it is for the public at large, not just on behalf of one particular consumer who has just one complaint about a supplier. Now, we do take a lot of complaints every year, and we resolve those mostly through informal dispute resolution. We mediate, we try to tell the business the consumer side of the story in hopes that they listen. And there are about 25 state consumer laws that we enforce here in Ohio. So, working from consumer complaints, we try to ensure there's a safe marketplace by enforcing laws related to used car purchases, misleading store advertisements, home improvement work, and a lot of other categories. Those are just a few examples. These are really important categories, but we take care of people that think that they've been scammed with timeshare resale advertisements, home repair work, used car and new car purchases, travel vacation packages, all kinds of purchases of goods and services. So again, we took about 24,000 complaints in 2024, and that's about average. We take about 25,000 complaints every year from the public. And the good news is they're all available online. So if you need to know whether a business or an individual has been sued by our office, or we've gotten a court order against them, or people have filed complaints about them, it's a good idea to use our office as an upfront research resource for you, so you can figure out before you give a roofer thousands of dollars whether they've been sued by our office, whether we've gotten a lot of consumer complaints. Things like that are obtainable through our office, either through our website, through our toll-free number, or through public records requests that you can make directly to our consumer protection section. So we do a lot on behalf of individual consumers through informal dispute resolution, by addressing complaints and investigations through the court system sometimes, and then certainly through the work that our educators do out in the public. We have resource fairs that we participate in, lots of presentations every year, like the one you've joined today. So our most common complaints, the number one category is almost always motor vehicles. A lot of people are dissatisfied with some used car purchases they've made during their lifetime. I'm not alone. We all struggle with how to buy a used car. With new cars, at least you have a lemon law. We can go into that if anybody has questions, but you have the backing of the lemon law if you buy a new vehicle. But for most used vehicles, they're usually sold as is with no warranty. So a lot of people may have questions or may regret buying a motor vehicle from the wrong dealership or the wrong person. So we deal with a lot of motor vehicle complaints over the course of a year. And then these other complaint categories are pretty big. I mean, professional services can mean just about any service that's not otherwise regulated, like the provision of law is regulated by the Supreme Court. The Department of Insurance regulates insurance companies. But beyond those regulatory fields and some others, we take a lot of complaints about many different products and services, everything from a tank full of gasoline to a 12-pack of soda to really expensive things like motor vehicles and timeshares, things like that.
Ryan, there's a comment in the chat right now from
Sure.
one of our participants. She said that she had an issue with a vehicle she purchased in 2024. It was inoperable. She reached out to the Attorney General's office, but she didn't get much help. So I'm not sure what circumstances were that caused something not to resolve itself, I guess.
Sure. I mean, there are times when we would have difficulty getting a hold of a supplier or a business or a merchant, and they may not respond to us, which doesn't mean we're going to go ahead and sue them on anybody's behalf. If we get a lot of complaints from throughout the state, if we investigate and find there's a problem, we may sue. But for an individual complaint, it's really up to the business as to how they resolve the complaint. I say that, but consumers that are dissatisfied can still go to small claims court if the business fails to respond to them and to us. But we do get a lot of businesses that do respond to the Ohio Attorney General's office once we get involved, because they realize we have significant standing in the population. We're a government agency, we're a state agency, we have 25 consumer laws that we do enforce. But through informal dispute resolution, nothing really forces the business to respond. But again, if we get a lot of complaints, we can sue or investigate and sue. If we don't get a lot of complaints, the consumer can always go to small claims court. So it's always dissatisfying when a consumer doesn't hear from the business, and neither do we. And a lot of times we reach out several times through email, through phone calls. However we can get to the business, we try to get to the business to get them to respond. but unfortunately, in some cases, they don't. Another option is the Better Business Bureau. They can certainly resolve complaints through their own means. And still another option is Pro Seniors. Pro Seniors is an organization that does a couple of things. They do senior Medicare fraud issues. They report that. So it's really important if you see something wrong in Medicare to report it to proseniors.org. The other thing they do is a legal helpline. So they're not going to necessarily sue anybody for you, but they have lawyers that work a legal hotline, a legal helpline, and they can give you a 30-minute consultation free of charge if you are 60 or older and you are a resident of the state of Ohio. They get a grant every year. More information is at proseniors.org, but they get a grant every year to run a statewide legal helpline for seniors. So if you're 60 or above, if you want legal advice, that might be a good place to turn to. In addition to legal aid, in addition to the Bar Association, Pro Seniors does a lot of good in the community just by giving consultations to people 60 and up that are looking for where to go to get some contractor out there to comply with the law. Now, having said that, oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's what I mean by informal dispute resolution, by the way. We're not forcing anybody's hand at a finding of facts or anything like that. That would be for a court to decide. But you still can go to small claims court. We don't prevent anything from happening that you want to happen in terms of other action you may want to take against a merchant or a business or a contractor that may not be giving you what you think you deserve. Now, different scams target different age groups. Now, I realize this is a grandparent kinship program, so we're going to concentrate on folks that are 55 and above a little bit in this presentation, but a lot of the real guidelines and a lot of the help and a lot of the tips I'm going to give you apply to people of all ages. But when you're older, sometimes you get into investment scams and cryptocurrency scams. The research is saying that is certainly concentrated to some extent with folks that are older. Romance scams, especially widows, can get caught in the net of a romance scammer. And they may seem like they mean well, and they may give you a lot of reasons to trust them. And then once you fall in love with them, they want money, or they'll come up with some excuse where they want you to give them money or personal information. A lot of older adults are scammed with home improvement issues, and home repair. We end up suing quite a few home repair and home improvement companies throughout the course of any given year. Again, that usually takes a lot of complaints or definitely an investigation or something to show that they've potentially broken some of our consumer protection laws. But it's really important that you don't put a large down payment on a home improvement job or a home repair job. Some scammers want you to put 100% down, which is usually not a good idea for your average home repair or home improvement job. Please put no more than 1/3 of the total invoice amount as a down payment. Maybe save 1/3 for the middle of the job, where you know they've done at least some good work, and then save as much as possible for the end of the job so that they're going to keep coming back and doing the work. I mean, time and time again, we see folks that go out there and convince older adults to give a deposit or give money to them, saying they're going to buy materials to build a garage or an extension or a pole barn or to waterproof a house or something like that. And they simply stop showing up and don't do the work. They may not even buy or deliver materials. So I try to spend a little bit of time in every presentation to cover home improvement and home repair, because it's certainly a significant part of what we do at the Ohio Attorney General's Consumer Protection Section, is trying to resolve some of those types of of improvement and repair jobs. Also, online purchasing. These days, folks that are 55 and older, a lot of them are on social media. A lot of them are buying things online, whether it's through a big company like Amazon or a mom and pop company that you hear about from friends and family. A lot of purchasing is happening online. So we're getting complaints, and we're certainly getting nationwide a sense that online purchasing is hitting people both younger and older. That's why it's in both of these categories. The younger folks and the older folks are online, and they are buying things, goods and services. Some red flags of a scam. Now, these are things that should raise your antennas up and cause you to think, wait a minute, is somebody trying to scam me? Now, certainly not all these different red flags are involved in every scam. Some scams, you'll see multiple red flags, but I'm going to go over some of the signs of a scam so you know where to maybe put on the brakes or to hang up on a phone call or to tell somebody that you'll get back to them after you do some research. Here's some red flags of a scam. Watch for these tactics commonly used by scam artists. If they request for payment by wire transfer, like Western Union or MoneyGram, if they want you to buy gift cards, if they want you to go to a crypto ATM, if they want you to use one of those peer-to-peer payment networks like Cash App or Venmo. Now, again, I mean, most of those peer-to-peer payment networks like Cash App and Venmo and Zelle are supposed to be used for friends and family, not really for business purposes. Now, some of the networks are getting involved in merchants and doing business transactions, but at this point, a lot of them lack consumer protection. So it's really important, if you're about to transfer money to someone and they have a preferred method of payment, that you be skeptical. Think to yourself, why would they want that method of payment? And the answer may be because it's very difficult for consumers to get their money back if they ask for a gift card, if they ask for a MoneyGram, if they ask for a Western Union payment. Those are difficult ways to get refunded if you are the consumer. And it's also a way that scammers can stay anonymous. If I'm a scammer and I ask you to go buy $500 in gift cards from a grocery store, you buy the cards, you come back, you give me the numbers off the back of the cards, and that's enough for me to deplete all the funds on that card. And nobody's going to know who I am or where I'm from, because I'm probably giving bogus caller ID information. I'm probably not telling the truth to the consumer. And lo and behold, that's scammers' currency is gift cards and crypto and prepaid money cards, things like that. So if somebody really demands payment in one of these ways, think twice and be skeptical. If they request a lot of personal information, I mean, these days I really tell people to be as frugal with your personal information as you are with your cash and with your credit cards. Don't give anybody personal information unless you validate that it's really them. And even then, be skeptical. I can't tell you how many times we get phone calls. You probably get a lot of phone calls from people that say they're from Medicare, that people that say they're from Social Security, people that say they're from Amazon or PayPal. There are a lot of imposter scams out there. So unless you really know who you're talking to and have verified it, don't give any personal information up, even if it means hanging up the phone and calling that company back at a number you know to be legitimate. Oftentimes, that's the best course of action. If they say that they're your bank and you don't believe them, or if you think that there's red flags out there, hang up and go to your bank branch or call the phone number on the back of your debit card to get your real bank so that you can figure out if there is really an account problem or if there really is a circumstance when they've tried to get a hold of you. Because in many cases, it's a scammer and an imposter. If they pressure you to act immediately. I know there was one case in Delaware County where a lady was given 45 minutes to come up with $2,100 in prepaid money cards. Again, that request for payment is suspicious because they want the prepaid money cards. And just like gift cards, those are used all the time in scams. But they wanted to put pressure on the senior. So they said that it would take 45 minutes for them to get the sheriff's department over to her house, and that she needed to get those prepaid money cards in time to avoid getting arrested. And they told her it was a past due bill that she owed money for. So in this particular case, fortunately, they didn't sell her the $2,100 in money cards. Someone at the store probably knew it was a scam. And fortunately, sometimes clerks and managers really try to be on the lookout for folks, especially older folks, taking out a lot of money and sending it somewhere, or buying big amounts of gift cards or prepaid money cards. So this may have been one of those types of cases. If they ask to keep the conversation a secret, I know of no good reason why someone who tells you you've won $1 million, or that they love you, or that you have a grandchild in trouble, whatever the case is, I have no reason why they would keep it a secret, other than the fact they don't want you to know that it's a scam. A lot of times scammers will convince older adults to keep conversations a secret, because if you tell someone, then it might rat them out for who they really are, an imposter or a scam artist. So they'll tell you to keep the relationship secret, or to keep the conversation a secret, so you don't do any research, so you don't tell anyone that may be able to tell that it's a scam. They want you to think only for yourself. They want you to think quickly. They don't want you to think with your head. They want you to think with your heart. And they want you to use emotion so that will cloud your judgment a little bit. Also, any guarantee that you'll make money. I know that savings accounts in many cases get less than 1% yield these days. If somebody's telling you you're going to make 20% in 90 days, or you're going to double your money overnight by investing in something, there's either a scam element to it, or it's very risky and they're not just telling you about the risk. So watch out for any guarantees that you'll make money. Request for a large down payment. I mentioned that earlier in terms of home repair and home improvement scams. A lot of scammers want all your money up front because they don't plan on doing the work. They want you to pay for materials up front because maybe they won't even buy the materials because they don't plan on doing the work. So be very careful about putting a large down payment on anything these days. And if they want a large down payment and you really are certain about who you're buying it from, still look for other opportunities to get some estimates from other sources. Look online to see the reputation of the business. Always do your due diligence, even if you think that you know it for certain where you want to go to get work done. Do your research, look to the Better Business Bureau, look to the Ohio Attorney General's office to do your research. Also, if someone avoids using a contract, tells you don't need a contract, or leaves key details out of the contract, that is very suspicious. These days, I would suggest, not legal advice, but I suggest as an educator that you get everything in writing. If you're getting a home improvement job done, or a home repair job done, or you're buying a used car, or for that matter, if you're buying a new car, get every guarantee, everything they say that you're going to get as a benefit. Make sure it's written down in a contract that you sign off on, as well as the dealership or the supplier or the merchant. And if there's a fill-in-the-blank contract, make sure all the blanks are filled out before you sign it. And certainly anyone asking you to send money out of the country is suspicious, especially if you haven't met them in person. There are a lot of Facebook and Instagram scams out there where they will direct message people and claim to be your friend, claim to be a neighbor, claim to be a relative, and want you to send money to them out of the country because there's a family emergency, because they've gotten into an accident, because they've gotten arrested. There's a whole load of family emergency scams, grandparent scams, things like that. We're going to talk about the grandparent scam in just a few minutes. And if somebody asks you to transfer money to protect your money, that is suspicious, because if your money is already in a bank or any other kind of financial institution like a credit union, it's safe. It's under FDIC protection or other comparable protections. If somebody tells you you've been hacked and to transfer your money, it's most likely a scam. And if they say they're calling from your bank, again, that's where you want to verify and validate it before you take any action at all. Even telling them your last name, you're going to want to validate that they are truly from your bank or from your institution before you try to follow their instructions. And of course, the big red flag of them all is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is a scam. So there are lots of scams out there where they say you've won millions of dollars. They say that you have an inheritance that's worth millions that you need to claim. Lots of scams out there. And if it sounds fishy or if it sounds very likely to be a scam, it probably is. So now we're going to get into some types of consumer scams. I mentioned and promised you I would talk about the imposter scam. That one is where they pretend to be from the government, or they pretend to be from a big company, or even a packaging company, a shipper like FedEx or UPS or the United States Postal Service, or one of those types of shippers. How many of you have gotten package notifications that are fraudulent, that are just bogus? That's an example of an imposter scam. And anybody calling you from the government most likely is going to be a scam artist, especially if it's a really big agency and you have not gotten any notification in writing or in an email that you have a problem with them. It's most likely a scam. Social Security, Medicare, the IRS, Veterans Administration, they are very unlikely to contact you out of the blue. If you call them, they may return your call, but then you're the one that's taken action first. If they're calling you out of the blue, hang up, because it's probably a scam. And if you have any question about it, call the organization at a legitimate phone number, so you know you're getting a hold of the right people and not a scam call center. I know one time I read that, I think it was in the New York Times, they busted 90 people all at once running a call center out of India impersonating the IRS. All they would do is come in every day and impersonate the IRS and tell people like you and me that they owed money or personal information, or that they had a past due IRS debt they had to pay right away, or they'd go to jail. So with these types of imposter scams, don't trust your caller ID, because scammers use caller ID spoofing to hide the number they're really calling from. And guess what phone number they're probably going to say they're calling from? Probably a local phone number, or some kind of number that would back up who they're trying to imposter. So if the caller ID says Geek Squad, or it says Norton Antivirus, or it says Medicare or Social Security, it doesn't mean it's really them. It may be them, but most likely it's a scammer using caller ID spoofing. And certainly you don't want to provide personal information to somebody calling you unless or until you have verified that it's really them. We're going to watch a little video now about how scammers aren't going to tell the truth. They're going to lie to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't take their phone call. Here's a little video.
Explain that to me again, please.
All right, here's the deal. I'm gonna pretend I'm with the IRS. I'm gonna say you owe back taxes and threaten you with jail time. That'll scare you into giving me a whole bunch of your money. I also need your social security number too, because then I can really take you to the cleaners.
Unfortunately, it's never this obvious. That's why we're here, dedicated to protecting Ohio families against frauds and scams. Get the facts you need today at ohioprotects.org.
Okay, so by the way, that's the website for the consumer protection section. It's www.ohioprotects.org. And that's our toll-free number for the help center for the entire Attorney General's office. So we've run some ads like this for, we did it a few years ago, just to let people know that if scammers were really going to be honest with you, you'd never take their phone call. They're going to lie about the caller ID. They're going to lie about the information. They're going to lie about who they are. Grandparent scam. We still get a lot of folks contacting our office saying that a grandchild was impostered and they stole money from people that are victims. We get a lot of people that call up claiming to be a grandchild and saying that there's been an emergency and they've gotten arrested or they're in the hospital and they need the grandparent to bail them out or to send money their way. They'll give you a sob story about how they've been in an accident and they're out of the country on spring break or something like that to try to get your money. But in every sense of the word, these are imposter scammers. They do definitely sound sometimes like the grandchild. They may know the grandchild's name. But some important things that you should do to protect yourself from the grandparent scam is establish a code word with your grandchildren so that you know whether it's really them on the call. Confirm with family. Never just give money out from somebody that claims to be your grandchild if they say it's an emergency. Confirm with your son or daughter. Confirm with people in your family. Find alternative ways to get a hold of them and make sure for sure that it's really a problem and that it's really your grandchild. And don't send money through wire transfer or prepaid money cards. Those are the sure sign of something like a grandparent scam going on. Now we're going to watch a video. This one's a couple minutes long from 60 Minutes.
60 Minutes Overtime.
This week on 60 Minutes, we report on digital scams criminals are using to swindle Americans out of their hard-earned money. The scammers don't discriminate, but seniors lose the most money. They're often targeted in a specific con called the grandparent scam.
They said my grandson had an accident, and to get him out of jail, they need $7,600.
For Judy and Ron Attig, the scam started with a phone call from an imposter pretending to be their grandson in trouble, afraid to tell his parents, but in need of money.
We did ask, why didn't you call your dad? And oh my God, he'd be so mad at me or whatever. He said, I'm going to have somebody come and pick up the money.
Were they convincing?
Oh, very. And yeah, we broke in and gave it to them.
The scammers sent a courier to the Attigs to pick up the first payment.
Did you want to look at it or not?
No, I can't do it now.
Oh, okay, well then,
Yep.
okay. Okay, your name is?
Jessica?
Days later, the greedy con artists called the couple to ask for more money. Alert to the scam, they recorded the conversation.
Yes, hello, this is Attic.
Mrs. Attic, yes?
Yes, hi ma'am. My name is Daniel Korber. I was the one representing Troy yesterday in his DUI reckless endangerment case with the car accident and the payment that had gone through. And unfortunately, the woman today, she had come in with all of the necessary documents that she did need in order to proceed with taking it to a personal injury claim. So that's where we're standing right now, and she finally did settle for $17,000. To my understanding, you had already picked up the cash, and you have it present with you?
Yes, we do.
The Attigs did not hand over any more money and contacted the authorities. Law enforcement was able to break up this crime ring thanks in part to doorbell camera footage of the courier. San Diego County District Attorney Summer Steffen said was the linchpin.
Search warrants then were able to take that trail from the download of her cell phones, the woman who showed up at the door, to connect to several other perpetrators. From that, a connection of the dots happened to crimes all around in multiple regions, bringing down really an organized syndicate that was operating across the United States.
At the moment you realized this is a scam, what was the feeling?
Stupid.
$7,600 hits hard.
Well, that was for our, you know, if we wanted to go on a trip or something. It was terrible. I was a mess.
Okay, so that's where we leave the grandparent scam. Don't give money out, don't give personal information out, and be really careful with anybody saying they're part of your family if they need money, if money's involved, especially if they want to use gift cards or wire transfers, things that they wouldn't normally use with you. Speaking of these different types of imposter scams, yes, they can imposter grandchildren, they can imposter Amazon and the government. They can also imposter Publishers Clearinghouse. And we see a lot of people that have supposedly won millions of dollars, new cars, all kinds of things. But the phony Publishers Clearinghouse calls saying that you're a big winner, but they want you to pay taxes in advance, or they want you to pay a customs fee because it's part of a foreign lottery, or they want you to pay some type of administrative fee. Anybody that wants cash in advance is probably a scammer. Please, please don't give them personal information or money, because even if you just give them personal information, it may be enough to use it for a profile of you for identity theft purposes. So be very careful about answering phone calls you don't recognize. I would let all of those phone calls go to voicemail, go to your answering machine. That's a good reason why you have those features. Use them to your advantage by screening your phone calls. And any phone number you don't recognize, send a voicemail. Check your messages as often as you need to, but don't get in the habit of answering phone numbers you don't recognize. Of course, you don't want to pay an advanced fee or a tax to receive a prize. Prizes are supposed to be free. And if you didn't win, you probably didn't enter. I'm sorry, if you didn't enter, you probably didn't win. I think I need more coffee. If you didn't enter, you probably didn't win, is the good mantra to use. So if you don't play Powerball, if you don't play Mega Millions, if you don't play the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes, then if they call you, you'll know it's a fraudulent call. Also, with money transfer scams, the FBI in Cleveland announced last September, I think it was, they announced a really, really complex scam that we've seen called the Phantom Hacker scam. And the Phantom Hacker scam works because they call you and tell you you've been hacked and that your accounts are in jeopardy and that they need you to transfer money to a safe location from your bank to a different account at a different bank or part of the Federal Reserve, or they'll make up some type of name of a federal agency where you need to transfer your money to. It's always going to be a scam if that happens, but some people believe that they've been hacked, their computer's acting slow, they think that they think that somebody's looking out for them. In fact, sometimes with the Phantom Hacker scam, another hacker will get on the phone pretending to be their bank, the consumer's bank, the victim's bank. So then for sure they think it's a safe thing to do to transfer their money. But what they're not doing is understanding that it's a phony imposter that's every step of the way. It's a phony person saying that it's a phantom hacker. It's a phony person saying it's a bank. And then sometimes they'll get somebody from a federal regulatory body on the phone, like the Federal Reserve or the Federal Trade Commission. They'll be phony also, all telling the victim to put money into a certain wallet or a certain digital account, or to put your money, take it from the bank and put it somewhere so that a scammer can access it. So these money transfer scams are getting more popular these days because scammers are sometimes being shut down by victims that know what they're up to. So they have to come up with more complex scams and more believable scams that people haven't heard about in order to get personal information and money out of folks that are savvy. We also deal sometimes with overpayment scams. There's sometimes folks that'll get a check in the mail or get a check from someone claiming to want to buy something you're selling, especially if you're selling something online through a marketplace. They'll write you a check for something that includes a hefty charge for shipping. So let's say you're selling a couch for $300. They might write you a $1,200 check saying that they want to buy your couch and they'll want you to send that extra $900 to someone who is supposedly the shipping agent. It's all a ruse. It's not a real check, but they want you to believe it's real. Once you get access to the money from your bank, they'll want you to get rid of that excess money through usually a wire transfer or through buying gift cards and sending the information to who they say is a shipping agent, but it's really somebody else involved in the scam. So we see a lot of bad check scams out there. So if you've gotten a check and you haven't done anything to deserve the check, if you've gotten a check for something that claims to be something you're selling online, be very skeptical if it's written for more than the exact amount you want, because there is that overpayment scam. It also works as a work from home scam as well. A lot of people accept jobs that are less than legitimate, and the first thing that'll happen is the so-called company will want you to cash a check of theirs. And that is supposedly to pay for materials or your computer monitor or your laptop or services like that. And they want you to deposit the check and send the proceeds of that check to someone who they say is the supplier that's going to get you the equipment. But what they're not telling you is the check is bogus. And what the teller at the bank or what the bank systems may not realize is it's a bogus check until it goes through their security department. But you have to understand, and a lot of people don't understand, that just because the money is in your account doesn't mean the check has completely cleared the bank. It just means they've given you access to the funds temporarily. If that check comes back as bogus, you're going to owe all that money back to the bank, even if you've already spent it or sent the money to someone who's supposedly a supplier or supposedly a shipping agent. We also see a lot of cryptocurrency-related scams these days. Now, crypto in and of itself is not a scam. There are legitimate ways to invest in Bitcoin or to invest in other cryptocurrencies, but crypto in its very definition is not government regulated very well. It's certainly not government backed like your cash would be, or like any kind of bank investment would be. And it's very important to understand that if somebody wants you to invest in crypto, there are a lot of scammers that'll give you all kinds of promises about how much money you're going to make, none of which may be true. So if you want to invest in crypto, go through legitimate sources like your financial advisor or through currently held investment brokers that you use. Those are ways to invest in crypto, but don't use a phony phone call by somebody you've never heard of as a means to know about what type of crypto to invest in, because those are always going to be scams. Very few legal protections. A lot of times scammers will want access to your digital wallet, or they want you to recite security codes or passwords to let them log into your account. All of those are actions of scammers. If you're told that you're guaranteed to make money, or if they say it's being given away by a celebrity or by an influencer, it's most likely a scam. I mean, Taylor Swift and folks like that have a lot of things to do with their time. They're not going to be endorsing crypto anytime soon that I'm aware of. But they'll use very famous people tell you that it's a giveaway, and that'll be their entree into your wallet and trying to get more information about you as a person and your accounts. The computer repair scam. I think this will be our final video. We're going to watch a little bit about the computer repair scam. This one's from AARP, and it's really important to know that if you get a call out of the blue, or if you see a message on your computer that you have a virus and that you need to call a toll-free number, that is a scam all day long. There are a lot of computer repair and tech support scams out there. So you got to be aware of any calls you get out of the blue. Here's a little video to lend you some insight into the computer repair scam.
Tech support cons typically start in one of two ways: an unsolicited phone call or a pop-up warning on your computer or device. These scammers pretend to be connected with a brand name like Microsoft, Apple, or McAfee and say that there's a problem or virus on your computer that needs to be fixed. But those companies won't contact you out of the blue about your computer. The con artist will request remote access to your device in order to run phony diagnostic tests. Don't engage with this type of request. If you do, they will pretend to have found a virus that will damage your computer and pressure you to pay hundreds of dollars for repairs you don't need, asking for a credit card number or requesting payment by gift card or money transfer. Your best plan of action is to shut down your device and don't respond. If you think something may be wrong with your computer, turn to a company you trust and have it checked out. For more scam prevention tips, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. And make sure to tune in to RFD TV the third Thursday of each month for Rural America Live with AARP.
Okay, so a little bit of information about the computer repair scam. You never want to allow remote access to your device, whether it's your smartphone, your laptop, your desktop computer, a Chromebook, anything like that. If somebody wants to access your device from far away through some type of dialer program or some type of screen sharing program, never allow that unless you know who you're talking to and it's someone you know and trust. Never allow somebody who claims to be from Geek Squad or claims to be from Norton Antivirus. If they're calling you out of the blue, it's going to be a scam. And remember, callers can't tell if your computer has a virus. If you need your computer repaired, go to someone legitimate in town. Go to someone that you've already used before. If they have good recommendations and references by people you know and trust. So you always want to take any strange phone calls you get, any phone calls out of the blue about your computer are most likely going to be in this computer repair scam business. Relationship scams. We do a lot of education about relationship scams. A lot of times there are dating websites or other like bulletin boards, online chat systems that widows or other older adults may go to try to find loved ones or potential mates. Wherever there are legitimate folks, there are scammers as well. So be careful about any dating websites, anybody that wants to build trust in you for days or weeks without meeting you may be a scammer. Not always, but they may be. And if they build your trust over the course of several weeks or several months, it may still be a scam because a lot of times scammers have learned their lessons. They know to string you along for a period of time in order to build trust between the two of you before they tell you that they need money. But eventually they'll tell you they need money for some type of family emergency or for a plane ticket back to the United States or something like that. But if they say they're from the military, if they say they're an oil driller offshore, if they say they're a business executive from America, but they're traveling overseas, take all that with a grain of salt unless you've actually met them in person. And even if you have met them in person, there are times when unsuspecting folks will get talked into meeting with other people as part of a con. And it may be a scammer overseas that puts them up to meeting you to impersonate them or to be a money mule, simply to be the intermediary between you and a scammer that's overseas. So just be careful, even if it's somebody that claims to be running an errand or claims to be a delivery agent for a stranger or somebody you've only met online. If you haven't met them in person, don't give them any money or any personal information. We also see a lot of family and friends scams too. In fact, a large part of financial exploitation happens between older adults and caregivers, or older adults and relatives that are getting into their life. And if you see some signs that it's a potential scam, make sure you tell someone. Look out for older folks that are around you as well. So if you see unusual banking activities, or if you see someone that is getting close to someone and asking for power of attorney or asking for POD on a title or a deed or something like that, and putting pressure on the older adult, make sure you expose that, because we certainly want people to help each other. And a lot of financial exploitation, unfortunately, happens between older adults and people they've already befriended or somebody they already know. You know, if somebody claims to be sending gift cards to a friend or a family member, it again may be a scam. So you just want to make sure to be the eyes and ears for folks around you, so that if you see something that's not quite right, you may want to bring it to their attention or bring it to family's attention. Also, social media scams. We see a lot of older adults on social media. That's not such a bad thing. I mean, it's a great communication channel, great way to keep up with friends and relatives, but unfortunately, scammers know that as well. So if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Pinterest, if you're on Snapchat, any of these types of social media platforms, believe me, scammers will get on there as well and pretend to be somebody they're not. So all these scams that I've talked about for the last half hour, all these types of scams happen on social media, as well as through the phone, through the email, through text messaging, things like that. I'm going to talk for just a few minutes on identity theft. I want to stop for a second and see if anybody has any questions. I know I wanted to leave some time at the end, but if anybody has any questions that can't wait, you can unmute yourself, or I can't see what's in the chat, but if anybody has any questions, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I've been monitoring, and right now there are no questions showing up in the chat, but if anybody has any they want to ask Ryan directly, unmute yourself and, let him know what your question might be or comment. I know this has been very valuable, because I think I've seen a lot of these and have, personally experienced a lot of the phone call scams. And it's good to know how to respond to them, because they can catch you off guard. And depending on, your circumstances, you could be having medical issues, and here you get a call from Medicaid or Medicare, and you seem like it's something that you need to check into. So This has been very valuable information. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes to talk about identity theft. But I will say that we deal with a lot of Medicaid and Medicare and insurance fraud issues that we hear about from the public. So if somebody says you need a new back brace, if somebody says you need a DNA or genetic test, if somebody says you need a medical device or durable medical equipment that's not your doctor, consult your doctor. Because a lot of times they'll say they're calling on behalf of a doctor's office when they're really not. Or they'll say, well, Medicare, Medicaid, or an insurance is going to pay for everything. All you have to do is sign off on it, when it's really a ruse to bill insurance companies or the government hundreds or thousands of dollars. So just be careful. And if anybody orders something for you, make sure it's a doctor, if it's durable medical equipment or a device or anything like that. Which brings me to identity theft, which is when a person obtains and uses your personal information without your permission to commit fraud. So unless someone uses your information, just having it available online or on the dark web is not identity theft. It may be because of a data breach. And who has not been involved in a data breach? I get letters probably every few months myself about information that's been leaked out of either an account that I have online or some information I've entrusted with a big company. And they tell me that the information has been accessed potentially by identity thieves. So a lot of people out there are concerned about identity theft for very good reason. Who has not been involved in some type of data breach? Probably all of us. Some warning signs of identity theft. Certainly if you're denied credit for no apparent reason, that could mean somebody may have ruined your credit that knows your social security number. If you have unauthorized charges on a bank statement, don't let anything, even if it's only 20 cents or $20, don't let anything go past your discretion if you're looking at a bank statement or looking at bogus charges on one of your accounts. You want to look through your credit card statements very carefully. Check them online if you have the ability to, in between getting statements. And really keep tabs on medical invoices and things to make sure you are not paying, or that your insurance company or the government isn't paying for charges that they shouldn't be paying for. If debt collectors contact you, that can be a sign of identity theft. I mean, there are a lot of scam debt collectors, but if they claim to know a lot about you and a lot about the creditor that you supposedly owe money to, it could be an identity theft situation where somebody's opened up credit on your social security number without your knowledge or without your consent. If you receive unfamiliar bills or you no longer receive mail. Now, the post office, I can't think of a time in history when the post office hasn't gotten as much flack as it's getting these days for misdelivered mail, stolen mail, things that may or may not be the post office's fault. I know in my condo, there are a lot of misdelivered bills. There are a lot of people that get information that isn't for them, or it has somebody else's name on it. So get to the bottom of anytime you receive an unfamiliar bill, especially if it has your name on it. Don't just shred it and throw it away. Eventually you will want to shred it. But get to the bottom of why you received the bill, because it may be an instance of identity theft. And frankly, if you no longer receive bills in the mail or things that you know are supposed to get to you, it may be because someone changed your address or someone is involved in some type of identity theft that is hoping you won't catch on to. If you see errors in your credit report, that can be another warning sign of identity theft. And we'll talk a little bit about credit reports. You can receive one free weekly credit report from each agency. There's 3 major credit reporting agencies: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Your job as a consumer is to regularly get in touch with your credit reports by going to annualcreditreport.com. Let me go back there. Annualcreditreport.com is the one site that you can go to that is essentially from government legislation that allows you access to your credit report. Now, in the law, they allow you access once a year to each one of those credit reporting agency reports. But in practice, since the pandemic, they've allowed people to get free weekly credit reports from each agency. So you can get them once a week, you can get them once a month, you can get them once every 3 months, however often you want to, but no more often than once a week. You're able to get free credit reports without affecting your credit score, without it being any kind of black mark against you. As long as you're getting your credit report, nobody's going to hold you liable or anything. It doesn't going to cost you anything to get a copy of your credit report as long as you go to annualcreditreport.com. You can reduce your risk of identity theft by shredding documents that contain personal information. Use at least a crosscut shredder or maybe even a confetti shredder these days, because identity thieves will get their hands dirty. They will go through dumpsters, they will go through trash cans, they will do whatever it takes to get your personal information, even stealing mail out of a mailbox. They are unscrupulous in terms of what they will do to get your social security number and other personal information about you. Watch for scams, especially phishing scams. When I say phishing, I mean phishing for personal information. So if somebody's emailing you, or if a company says that they're your bank or your credit card company, be careful. Don't click on any strange links. If they say your account's compromised, just hang up, delete, and call your bank or call your credit card company at the number you know to be legitimate, because it's on your statement, it's on your credit card. Don't use any kinds of emails as proof that it's really your bank or your credit card company. There's lots of phishing scams out there. Monitor your credit score. I know at least 2 of my credit cards give me credit scores every month, which is a great way to help monitor the ups and downs. And sometimes it will go up and sometimes it will go down. But if it drops 100 points and you haven't asked for any new credit, haven't failed to pay a bill or any other thing like that, it may be somebody has used your information to request a loan or a mortgage, or tried to take out a home equity loan, or open up a credit card in your name. So monitoring your credit score is good. Also, update your computer software. Make sure that your antivirus has the latest definitions. If you've already told your computer to automatically update that software, you should be good to go. But make sure you have the latest versions of internet browsers and operating systems and antivirus. And you can always have your computer check for updates, or have it set. A lot of times you'll be able to set it to automatically update even when you're offline. As long as your computer is on and it's connected, it may be able to do things in the background or while you're sleeping. So update your computer software as often as you can. And don't volunteer information. Even if it's something like a raffle or a drawing. If it's a real local organization like your own church or something like that, then I'm a little less concerned about that. But still, understand if your information is going to be sold to other folks, if it's going to be in a database forever. Read terms and conditions, read privacy policies, especially if it's some big national drawing or national event where they want your personal information. Be hesitant and look at the terms and conditions and look at privacy policies to see if you really want to give out your full name, your full address, your phone number, your email address, and all the other information they may try to get from you. Monitor your financial statements. I know when I'm on my home Wi-Fi, Notice I didn't say at the library, I didn't say at the coffee shop. Save everything you do financially and with money and involving personal passwords for your home Wi-Fi or for use with your cell signal. Don't use free public Wi-Fi to monitor your financial statements. But if you look at your accounts every so often, you'll get a really good sense of what charges have transpired, and you'll be able to hopefully catch if somebody has put unauthorized charges on your account. Don't carry extra personal information like your social security card. I know I get in trouble with my wife for carrying too many credit cards on vacation. Try to lighten your load. The more information you have in your purse or in your wallet, the more information could get exposed if you lose it, or if someone steals it, or if you misplace it. So just try to lighten your load. It's less work to do if you do get in trouble in a lost or stolen wallet situation. In place of credit alert or a freeze on your credit report, you can actually do both. Why not? I mean, the credit alert is really important. If you don't want to freeze your credit, at least put a credit alert on there if you're concerned about identity theft on all 3 of your credit reports. Now, the reason to freeze your credit reports would be if you know or if you think that someone may have access to your personal information, especially your social security number, especially other personal information. I would recommend taking a look at least at freezing your credit report, which is absolutely free. These are all free tools, a credit alert, a credit freeze. Those are all free tools to help you when it concerns your credit report at the 3 credit reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Today, if you want to call them or go to their websites, you can get a freeze on your credit report forever. Unless you want to unfreeze it temporarily or permanently, they will no longer give your credit report to folks that claim that you want a new credit card or want a new loan or want to refinance your mortgage. Now, if you actually want to do those things, you'll need to unfreeze your credit report, which may take a couple hours, but it shouldn't take a couple days or a couple weeks any longer. It doesn't cost any money any longer. It's free to freeze and unfreeze your credit reports whenever you want to. Now we're just going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity because I want to make sure everybody is maintaining a clean computer and updating your antivirus, deleting suspicious emails, being aware of unknown attachments, downloads, and links. Did you know that clicking on a link is enough to infect your computer with malware, malicious software? If you are trying to download something and it's suspicious where it came from, or if a friend is just sending you a link without any context to it, or if someone claims you can download the latest TV show or movie or music when it's supposed to cost money, those are all ways that we may be putting malware into our devices. So beware of unknown attachments, even if they look harmless. Beware of unknown downloads, unknown links. Don't click on anything suspicious. And if you think it's suspicious, delete it. Don't go to the link. And watch out for scam websites and pop-ups. I know I heard about one scam a few years ago where they were telling you that you had to tell them your current password because your password needs to be updated. But it wasn't connected to any of your apps or any programs on your computer. It was just a scammer sending out an email that looked official saying we need your current password and your new password. They just wanted to know your current password. So it can be very scary out there in terms of what information is requested by total strangers that may want to do you harm. And don't provide personal information over free public Wi-Fi. I was talking about that a few minutes ago. When you're at the library, when you're at the coffee shop, when you're at the airport, don't do anything over free public Wi-Fi that you wouldn't want other people, strangers, to see. So don't log into any accounts. Don't ask for credit reports that require you to put in personal information. Never put in your social security number or any other financial details like credit card numbers if you're on free public Wi-Fi. It's best to use that rule and to use your home Wi-Fi or your cellular phone connection whenever you need to put in personal information or financial information. Okay, I'm going to wrap up with the 5 R's of consumer protection. The first R is research businesses and charities. The Ohio Attorney General's Office, the Better Business Bureau can be good for both researching businesses and researching charities. Before you give money to someone, research them and find out whether they are legitimate and whether you want to give money to them or not. Remember the red flags of a scam, especially the currency that scammers often use. Remember I told you about Western Union, MoneyGram, gift cards, prepaid money cards. Those are all currencies used by scammers in addition to crypto, and peer-to-peer networks like Cash App and Zelle and Venmo. If you don't know the person, don't give them any money from any of those sources. Relax, don't give in to pressure to act immediately. Always take a deep breath. If they say you have 15 minutes to pay money, please, that is the sign of a scam. Just take a deep breath and research, validate, and verify before you give in to pressure to put any public information out there that's personal or to give any kind of money. Report scams and unwanted calls is the 4th R. You can come to the Ohio Attorney General's office to research businesses. You can also report businesses that you think are suspicious or that may be trying to scam you. So you can report unwanted calls to our office as well. It takes less than a minute to fill out an unwanted call notification form. So please please know that you can report scams, you can report unwanted calls, you can file complaints with Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost Consumer Protection Section. And finally, realize that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I think that could probably be the best advice from this session. And there's some other consumer resources as well. The phone number for the Attorney General's office, our big website, is at www.ohioattorneygeneral.gov. There's some other good resources there, like the phone number for Do Not Call, the phone number for the annual credit report. If you wanted them mailed to you instead of getting them online, you can do that once a year. Lots of good information there. And that is our microsite for the consumer protection section of the Attorney General's office in Ohio. It's simple. It's www.ohioprotects.org. You can find more information about robocalls, more information about the complaint handling that we do, all kinds of things through ohioprotects.org. And there's our toll-free number again, along with our Attorney General, Dave Yost. He's in his 2nd term as Attorney General, and he's not running again. You are term limited in Ohio with 2 consecutive terms. So within the next couple of years, we'll have a new Attorney General. And but right now, he is the one in leadership with our office. And he specifically wanted us to put years worth of our lawsuits online, years worth of judgments granted to us by court systems online. So if you're researching, if you're trying to figure out whether somebody's been sued by our office, if you find it online through ohioattorneygeneral.gov, that is something that Attorney General Yost did in his 1st term, is working with our office, our section, to get all those complaint actions that we've taken in courts online for the past several years. Okay, I'm going to pause now, and I will maybe stop sharing my screen. and I will take any questions, any stories, anything you may want to share with me. The floor is yours. Barbara, if you want to, if there are any questions that you've gotten in the chat, or if anybody wants to share anything, you can take yourself off mute or go to the chat window and do that at this time. So thank you so much for inviting me to give this talk to you this morning. I really appreciate it. You guys do a wonderful, wonderful thing by looking after your families. And this is just another way that you can be good stewards of personal information and warning signs, is to protect them from scams and frauds. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Ryan. And wow, it's just been wonderful. We've had a lot of comments in our chat about how people are thanking you for such a great presentation and all the information. I think one of the keys is you not only alerted us to these multiple scams, but how to prevent them and how to keep it from happening to us. And so that is a big key to not even getting involved in one of these. So thank you so much. We definitely, we're going to have this put out on our website. We have a resource section where we have presentations out there. And I would recommend any of the people on here to direct people that you know to our website so they can take advantage and run through this presentation, because I think anybody that you know, your relatives, friends, neighbors, even your kids can benefit from looking at this presentation, just to know what's out there, because you see it and you hear about them every day. They come to you. I mean, they're targeting us, and so they're sophisticated, and we've got to be just as sophisticated and in preparing ourselves to fight against this kind of thing. So you did an excellent job. I'm just impressed. I'm totally impressed. Thank you very much.
You.
Does anybody have a question they want to ask Ryan, or something they want to say?
Barbara. I do, Barbara.
Yes, Karen. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Barbara. Hi, Ryan. As
Hi.
everybody else has said, I really enjoyed your presentation. But even before I heard your presentation, I've seen a lot of these schemes just in my everyday life. I feel like I can't hit no links. But you talked about public Wi-Fi. When I go to the grocery store, a lot of times when I get to the back of the grocery store, usually I don't got good reception. So I use the stores like Kroger's Wi-Fi. Is that public? Is that considered public also?
Well, I would think so. If it's free and you're logging in with a password that's available to other people, I would try to stay away from that. I mean, you just don't know how secure things are, even if it's a trusted location like your local YMCA or your coffee shop or your grocery store. I try to tell people to use their cell signal if they can, with any kind of personal information or logging in or paying for things. Try to use your cell signal versus free public Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And treat everything as not being secure unless you know for sure that it is secure. So like your own home, you probably have a router with encryption and a password, and you probably have a modem with security. You don't know what the deli down the street has. And I don't want you to be in the habit of using that without any knowledge of what security is there. So I would just say be a little suspicious, be skeptical of any of those free public sites, and try to just do anonymous things. Check the sports scores, check the news, do things anonymous that you wouldn't care if anybody saw you doing. But once you're putting in social security numbers and passwords for email addresses, that's not safe computing. And if you do use the library, or if you do use what would otherwise be a safe location for checking emails and things like that, think about a VPN, virtual private network. A lot of employers and small businesses use VPN. And it's not, they're marketing it now to individual consumers. So it just gives you that kind of encryption of what's going in, what's going out, so you're not sharing all your bits and pieces of information in usable form to a hacker. And
Yeah.
if you, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Karen.
I do use a VPN, but
Yeah, good.
sometimes when I'm doing stuff, it'll interfere with it because it'll say, well, you're in Atlanta. You're supposed to be in Ohio. So I'm thinking, like, if I go to purchase something, should I take my VPN off?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't do that unless you know you're at a safe,
Right.
on a safe network.
Right.
If you're on your home
At home?
network, something like that, sure. But use that VPN. That's what it's for. And if they're cautioning you, you may want to check with your provider, your VPN vendor, or check with whatever website whatever service you're trying to do, to see if you can share a location with them and see what you can do to get yourself equipped to be able to fully function when you're traveling. But I mean, there are people out there, believe it or not, that will go to Starbucks or go to any other coffee shop. I don't mean to disparage Starbucks, but they could set up Wi-Fi called Free Coffee Shop and just steal information every day off of unassuming consumers that are logging into Free Coffee Spot, not realizing that what the real name is for the real Wi-Fi. So they could just be sitting back all day long getting data off of consumers that are using it for a free Wi-Fi link up.
And then, Ryan, I wanted to ask you.
It's just important to, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you one more question. Is, you know how they say, I heard when you tap, it mixes up your credit card numbers and stuff. Is that true? Instead of inserting your card in the credit machine, to just tap it?
When you tapping, it's letting out a little bit of a radio frequency, and it's one way that you can pay for items. And as far as I know, those types of things would be safe or encrypted. I haven't heard of a lot of scams with them. Now, there are RFID wallets and RFID purses and RFID card holders that don't allow the radio frequency to transmit through them. So if you're offered buying a new product or new wallet or something like that, feel free to buy one that's RFID proof. Then you'll have to take your card out and specifically tap it every time you want to. It just helps because theoretically, every time you have one of those radio frequency emitting credit cards, which most of them are now, if you look on the back and there's a little bit of a speaker or a little wave sign, it usually means that there's radio frequency used to tap your card against the machine. Theoretically, someone could steal that information through their own RFID, like their own radio frequency gathering process. I've never seen that happen, but just like with washing checks, a lot of this technology is used. A lot of this technology is abused by scammers, and so there's still skimming machines. If you go to the gas station and it looks like somebody's been messing with the card reader, don't use it. Go to another one, or go to another gas station, or go to another pump, because somebody may have inserted a skimmer into that to physically take information off of your credit card. That still happens, especially at gas stations and convenience stores, and especially with systems that may not be in clear eyesight of the clerk. Somebody may have just surreptitiously put a skimming device over the real device that's supposed to be reading your card number. So there's all kinds of ploys out there, but if something looks like it's tampered with, don't use it.
Then this is my last question, I hope. Is it safer to use your PIN or to skip it?
Well, here's the thing. Usually when you're inserting your PIN, it is a method of security, but it usually means you're using your debit card as a debit card and not as a credit card, which is fine if you understand you may not be getting all the consumer protections you get with a credit card. Under federal law, there are two different laws that apply to credit cards and debit cards. It's like two different little worlds. And if you apply the credit card, you're getting better consumer protections. And usually only $50 of liability exists with credit card purchases. So if somebody buys a $1,200 Disney vacation using your credit card without your authorization, as long as you report it within a couple of billing cycles, you're not liable for all but $50 of it. And a lot of credit cards will even offer zero liability, so you're not getting any liability in terms of unauthorized use. Debit cards work a little differently, and it's more important to examine the consumer protections when you're using a debit card or a check or something like that. So I always tell people, if they're doing work online, if they're not sure of the store, if they're not sure of the circumstances, first of all, be skeptical. Ask yourself, do you really want to make this purchase? Then if you do, use a credit card. It's your best defense, and it's the best way to exert your consumer rights is by using that credit card and disputing charges that you don't make.
Right. Thank you.
I want to
welcome.
announce the winner of our $50 gift card before we leave, and that will be Rochelle Burgos. I know she had to get off early, but we will contact her and make sure I get the information for her. And I am going to have to leave. So if anybody else has any questions, please direct them to Ryan. And thank you again, Ryan, for your service to us through the Attorney General's office, and Dave Yost. We appreciate your protection for all of our consumers here in Ohio.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Karen and Brenda and everyone, are there any